ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यनिजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ 143 निरूपयितुम् आरब्धे निखिलैरपि पण्डितैः अज्ञानं पुरतस्तेषां भाति कक्षासु कासुचित्. So, as a part of this Tat Padartha Ishvara discussion, Vidyaranya deals with a topic of Maya, and Ishvara had three components. This discussion now regarding the Maya has come from the discussion of Ishvara, and that is Tat Padartha. The Tam Padartha we have completed before. Now we are discussing the Tat Padartha, and in that also certain minor philosophers, what kind of an opinion they have regarding Ishvara, that also we discussed. And now finally our opinion. So that is a Vedic opinion. What Veda says regarding Ishvara is this. Based on Veda, based on the Upanishad, and we quoted one Upanishad, of course, and that is Shvetashvatara Upanishad, in which the word Maya also appears there. So Mayam Prakritim Vidyad Mayinam Maheshwara. One who possesses Maya, well, that is Ishvara. Maya Pratibhimbit Chaitanyam is Ishvara. And so, while discussing Ishvara, now the topic of Maya also has emerged, and so we have picked up the discussion of Maya also. Now, in this Ishvara, there are three components, as you know very well. So, one is a consciousness, and then the reflected consciousness, and the medium called Maya. And in that, one is is a Paramarthik Satyam, means it is Satyam. The other two are Vyavaharik Satyam, or it is Mithya. What is Vyavaharik Satyam is available for Pratyaksha Pramana. Consciousness is not available for Pratyaksha Pramana. Consciousness is basically, we should not say consciousness is revealed by Shastra Pramana. Consciousness is self-revealing. Well, so it is not, consciousness is not revealed by Shastra Pramana. It is Aparoksha. Aparoksha means cannot be revealed by any Pramana. And therefore, basically, consciousness is not revealed. We should say basically, the ignorance regarding the consciousness, goes away. Or the opinions based on that, of course, ignorance, which are all the error born of that ignorance, they go away. That's the job of Shastra. Shastra does not reveal Atma. So otherwise, Atma is basically, so that then it is no more a consciousness, If anything is revealed by a Pramana, then it is Jadam. Yeah. So the whole world is revealed by your senses and Anumanam and etc., all this Pramana. Otherwise, world is not revealed. Like the person who does not have eyes, for him the 1/5 of the world is not there. You may say that there are beautiful colors in this creation. How this, the painter, very big painter who has painted all these things and all. That person wonders, who has an eye, who does not have eyes. He wonders. He says, what is this? What is this color and all? What kind of a thing you are talking? So, and so forms and everything. So this is basically Pramana, whatever is revealed by Pramana is, say, Jadavastu. And the consciousness is one which is never revealed by Pramana. then who will reveal? It's self-revealing. It is not revealed by that. Anyway, so basically, Pratyaksha reveals the Maya, that is creation, that's a medium, and also Ishvara, we should say, because it's a reflected consciousness. So Ishvara also is Pratyaksha. Yeah, Ishvara is no, Ishvara is not Paroksha. Ishvara is a Paroksha for the others. Yeah, Ishvara is a Pratyaksha for us, you know. And because it is Maya Pratibhimbita Chaitanya, medium is right there, the reflection also will be there. And therefore, so you see the medium and reflection you don't see. Where is the, this is not. And so, Ishvara is a Pratyaksha, please understand this. Even though we indicate by the word Tat, Tat means which is Parokshe Vijaniyat. There is a one Karika. Parokshe Vijaniyat. With respect to Paroksha, well, you always use Tat. But here, basically, Ishvara is a Pratyaksha. So, Ishvara, I mean the medium and the reflected consciousness called Ishvara, both are the Pratyaksha Pramana, I mean reveals by Pratyaksha Pramana. And what is revealed by Pratyaksha Pramana, here it is Mithya, you know. And so, Ishvaratvam is Mithya. People say Ishvara is Mithya, they feel very, very, you know, they never like this kind of a thing. We never say Ishvara is Mithya. We say Ishvaratvam is Mithya. Because the right there, the Brahman is there. So basically, Sarpatvam, the snakeness of the rope is Mithya. Snake is Mithya means you have to modify a little bit. The snakeness of a rope is Mithya. Because right there is something, some truth is there. So, where there is Mithya, there is some truth. And so, because non-separate, etc. So, this we should understand this, that is Pratyaksha Pramana reveals these two things. And consciousness is never revealed by Pramana. Anyway, so we have to discuss this Maya, etc. Without discussion of Maya, we can't discuss Ishvara. So Vidyaranya points out the nature of Maya is anirvachaniyam. He said if you take Shruti Pramana into account, Shruti negates Maya or the creation totally. So Maya comes under Asat category. And if you don't take Shruti Pramana into account, then Pratyaksha, well, that cannot negate Maya because it is revealed through Pratyaksha. And so you have to take it as a Sat. So from Pratyaksha, from the standpoint of a Pratyaksha, well, this Ishvara and Maya both are Sat. So when we talk about this, well, when we talk to anyone, so if as long as we have not introduced the Shruti Pramana, then basically, we have to say that this Maya is Satyam. And when you bring the Shruti into the picture, well, definitely we'll have to say Maya is Asat. And therefore, basically, Sat and Asat. Pratyaksha Pramana, Sat. Shruti Pramana, Asat. And so we combine together and we say, well, it is Sad Asat Vilaksham. And that is called Anirvachaniyam, indefinable. In other words, inexplicable is better. The indefinable. That's a better word. So, because inexplicable means it not available for explanation, etc. Well, indefinable. And that is the nature of Maya. And this is what even Ramrai Kavi, who was a very great Vedantic Acharya. And he wrote one book called Shankara Bhashya Vimarshaha. Shankara Ashankara Bhashya Vimarshaha. Vimarsha analysis. Analysis and a comparative study between Shankara Bhashyam and Ashankara Bhashyam. Shankara Bhashyam means Adi Shankaracharya's Bhashyam commentary, and Ashankara Bhashyam is basically, there are other Bhashyams, but he is referring to Ramanuja's Bhashyam. So Vishishra Dvaitin Acharya, Ramanuja's Bhashyam, we call, in Brahma Sutra also he has written Bhashyam called Sri Bhashyam. We call Shankar Bhashyam, there that Ramanuja's Bhashyam is called Sri Bhashyam. And he has written, Ramanujacharya has written Bhashyam on Prasthanatrayi, basically. So even Brahma Sutra and Upanishads and and Bhagavad Gita also. Anyway, so Ramarai Kavi does this comparative study, and he says in that book, Shankara Bhashya Vimarshaha, in that he says that why do we call this Maya Anirvachaniyam? Because he says, well, it cannot be defined as a Sat or Asat. Maya cannot be defined as a Sat or Asat. Sadrupena va Asadrupena va Nirvaktum Ashakyam. Nirvaktum. So, well, to define it in the as Sat or Asat, it is not possible, and therefore we say Anirvachanyam, indefinable. And then what if Maya is Anirvachaniya, then basically whatever comes out in a parampara after that, everything is Anirvachaniya. And therefore Akasha is Sadasat Vilakshanam. Vayu is Sadasat Vilakshanam. So you experience Vayu, but it is really not there. You experience, then what is there? Brahman is there. It's a Brahman. We have a very ready thing for us is this. Brahman is there. And Brahman, so how Brahman is there? Well, because ease is there. But yet that ease, that easiness in everything is Brahman. We have to think over that, actually. That easiness, that is what we generally refer to easiness, is really time-bound thing. Please understand. Could you follow what I'm saying? When you say clip is, that your easiness is time-bound. Because you earlier, after some time, you may say clip was. So basically, easiness goes away. So clip was not earlier, and now clip is, and clip will not be, etc. So that way you will say that easiness is always referring to the present tense, etc. I mean, right now it is there. So we don't say like this. So basically, our easiness is what? Which is a common factor in all names and forms. That easiness is a common factor in all the names and forms, and that existence is just a nature. That is its nature. That existence is beyond time and space. I mean, it is not affected by time and space, and from which, well, all the names and forms derive existence. All the names and forms have existence. That is from this existence, which is the nature, and that existence is consciousness. That existence is consciousness. The existence which is, which lends the existence to all the names and forms, that existence is what? Is consciousness. And therefore, consciousness is existence is consciousness. That's how we have to see. I mean, this is just for clarification, because we used to all the time say clip is, this is, that is Brahman. But we have to think, because there we use is. That is with reference to present tense, please understand. And therefore, with the same name and form, that is will go and you will say, well, clip will not be, etc., or clip was not before, etc. So that easiness is a time-bound thing, and time-bound existence is, well, definitely not that we are referring to. And so basically, because it is Satyam Jnanam Anantam, and so Satyam means this existence, which is really Anantam means limitless, and therefore it is not a bound entity. So limitless existence means which pervades all the names and forms, which lends existence to all the names and forms, because of which anything is. Well, definitely that existence is just consciousness, Jnanam. And therefore Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So Satyam refers to Anantam and also refers to the Jnanam. All have a Samanadikaranyam. Basically, they are all referring to the one entity only. Satyam and Jnanam and Anantam are not three entities. It is referring to the Brahman. And so it is Jnanam, means its consciousness. So the existence basically, which is beyond time and space, which is limitless, well, is consciousness. And therefore that division should go away from our head. Existence, consciousness, existence, consciousness. Existence is consciousness. Which kind of existence? Anantam Satyam, which is limitless, which is not beyond, which is not within the limit of time and space. Well, that existence is this consciousness. Anyway, this is best, by the way. So Maya, basically, Akasha is, Akasha is Sadasat Vilakshanam, Vayu is Sadasat Vilakshanam, everything is Sadasat Vilakshanam, and therefore they are seemingly existence. Actually, Brahman alone is. And that is how na bhumi rapo, na chavannihi, etc., etc., all the five elements have been negated. And so that is how Maya is not there when you take Shruti into consideration. And so our intellect is not able to explain, this kind of things, and because the Maya is basically Anirvachaniya, means cannot be defined. So creation is also like this. That is Maya only. So creation is never never available for any kind of a definition. And so, well, even if you do research for several years, well, it will not solve the issues which we are seeing in this particular verse. It says here, um, Vidyaranya says this indefinable nature of this world or a Maya will be found at all the levels in all the fields. And therefore, any branch of science basically, if you go deeper and deeper, whether it's a physics, chemistry, or astrophysics, etc., any branch, or whether it is a biology, cosmology, etc., this more they do the research, more they probe into, they will always find some unanswered questions. And then the scientist will definitely say that we are at the crossroads, and we are almost to solve the problem. And one day they will announce that we have solved the problem. And after the solution, a new question comes, which was not there before. And it came, they are now, then the process begins to solve that also. Again, they will say we are at the crossroads. We will solve that issue. And they will solve. They will solve. And then the another question arises. This is how it is going on. And so why? So this is how, after even 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that statement is a common statement. We have solved the issue. We are at the crossroads. We have met another puzzle or another question, another problem which we are in a process to solve. And so this thing goes on and on. And therefore we say this is Maya. Means we are not able to define. They probe into this. They are not able to define finally. They will find several unanswered questions with regard to this once they probe into this, once they do research. And therefore, we say, this is the Mahima of the Maya. So, Ajnanam is as though they confront all the time this ignorance. Unanswered questions without the ignorance. And therefore, Ajnanam will be always present in one layer or the another. So, because the basis of this entire creation is this Maya only, or the creation itself is a Maya, that is Sadasat Vilakshana Vastu, which is Ajnanam. Or the basis of the creation is Ajnanam or Maya. That way, either way you say, it is same thing. So, basis for all unreal things is Ajnanam. So, unreal snake is based on rope ignorance, etc. Unreal silver is born of, basically, shell ignorance. Or mirage water is basically born of a sand ignorance, right? And therefore, Ajnanam is the basis for all these things which we call as a Sadasat Vilakshanam. Sadasat Vilakshanam Vastu, that's a creation, has a basis in this Ajnanam Maya, which is Sadasat Vilakshanam. That's how Karana Gunaha Karya Vartante. So what the nature of Karanam will appear in the Karyam also. The unreal dream also is born out of waker's ignorance. So the basis of unreal Adhyasa is Avidya. So that is how Shankaracharya begins this Brahma Sutra with the Adhyasa Bhashyam. In order to understand, Brahman, he has to discuss this Adhyasa. It's a marvel. Even in the, in the literary circle, all over the world, this Adhyasa Bhashyam has been accepted as a marvel of Shankaracharya. It's a fantastic Bhashyam. There, it has very logically, Acharya has established that there is Adhyasa. There is Adhyasa. You are Brahman, but there is Adhyasa. And therefore you take yourself as a Jiva, which is Adhyasa. And this Adhyasa is basically born of the ignorance, and Adhyasa is, it's ignorance, and therefore Adhyasa, whatever you think of about yourself, it is Adhyasa, it is Mithya, etc. He nicely established that in that Adhyasa Bhashyam. And therefore, the content of this Sadasat Vilakshanam is Ajnanam. So you probe more and more into that, you will find one Ajnanam or the other, and it will be always there. And therefore, I think science maybe, let's take around, the age of science is now 200 years, almost. And then since 200 years, they have been struggling and saying that we will solve all the problems. In fact, I heard so, that they are in a search of a theory. They call it as a TOE, a theory of everything. They are in search for a certain theory, one theory, which will explain everything. And that they are in the process of finding out such a theory. So that means, basically, So, but they have not got yet, but they are in a process. So that means basically here in science they have solved several issues, but basically certain still it is the questions are many more than what they have solved. They have found the answers. So because everywhere they confront several issues, and therefore they come to this conclusion, because several theories are there. Every year whenever they meet, you will find some new theory has come out. Even for creation there are several theories. I'm not now right now in a touch with the whole thing what is going on, but basically several theories regarding creation. And that's how one theory will definitely has a controversy with other, and that it has a controversy with the third. And that is how some scientists, with a fertile brain, they thought that this is not going to solve our problem. Let's find one theory which explains all the phenomena, and that is called theory of everything, TOE. Anyway, so Vidyaranya says that will never arrive because it is Maya. Because you are trying to find the answer for the creation basically, or the phenomena in the creation, but it is a product of Maya. And since Maya is Sadasat Vilakshanam, creation is also Sadasat Vilakshanam, and Sadasat Vilakshanam means indefinable, and therefore it cannot be defined. Undefinable or indefinable, whatever. So anyway, so but one day then will they come to Brahman one day or not? So because they are right now doing analysis on the creation, that is Maya, but Maya is non-separate from Brahman. So one day they will come across, one day we will stumble upon a Brahman. Will it happen or not? No, that will never happen. Why it will not happen? Why you feel that you have a monopoly? Vedantic teachers only can talk about Brahman. You think scientists can never talk about Brahman? Since they are exploring Maya. So Maya is non-separate from Brahman, and they are exploring further and further and further. So one day they will come across Brahman. Will it be possible or not? It will not be possible, because you cannot come across Brahman, because you are Brahman. How will you come across? Tell me. How will you come across? And so you can come across what you are not. And so you have, that is how once I was discussing in this dining hall, when some physicist, I think, in the Swamiji's camp, some person came. Our Samit Tattvidanji's camp, some person came, as a physicist, I think. And so he was telling that, the scientists are in a process of discovering the consciousness through microscope or whatever, some scope. So same thing, consciousness cannot be on the other side of the microscope, the one who is looking into the microscope, that is a consciousness. And therefore you can never come across. You can never come across consciousness as Brahmani laboratory. That's for sure. What you can come across is basically all inert. What is revealed by your pramana and what is revealed by extra, that enhancing pramana called all scopes. All they are enhancing pramanas. Well, basically you will always come across inert things, because that reveals basically a scope as well as you, and therefore its existence or its revelation is basically dependent upon you, and that is basically jada, and therefore you can never come across, because you are Brahman. Anyway, this is just by the way. And so they will never come across this Brahman, and what is available here is all Maya. So they are probing more and more into Maya, and they will get deeper and deeper into they will get into deeper and deeper mystery, let's say, that's better, which they can never solve. So he says here, Vidyaranya is referring like that. In those days, no scientists, but then other philosophers. Nikhilai api panditaihi. So all the panditas, means all these other philosophers which we have counted, right? All panditas of the world, means whether they belong to Tarka, Nayayikas or Mimamsa, Yoga, etc., Sankhya, Vaisheshika, all this, Buddhas, basically they are taking this material sciences, or other people, let's say material scientists or physicists, cosmologists, all, you have to take all by word this pandita. Nikhilaihi, Akhilaihi, Nikhilam means Akhilam, all. Sarvaihi, you can say, Sarvaihi Panditaihi, well, Nirupaitum Arabde. So by all these panditas, philosophers and scientists and all, when they try to categorically explain, nirupaitum means basically you want to categorize, you want to define. So when they try to categorically explain, ajnanam tesham puratah bhati, the only ignorance or inapplicability stares at you. Ignorance. And therefore, more advanced scientist, he is more advanced in ignorance, not advanced in really. And that's how very genuine, I mean, in the field of science, all are genuine, but in that also the person who has done a lot of work, lot of research, a lot of he has gone into the subject matter. They are really very, very humble people, very humble, because he knows that how many questions he is facing right now and he is not having an answer. And therefore, basically, I would say more advanced scientist is more advanced in ignorance, because basically the product is born of ignorance. It is ignorance. It is crystallized ignorance. I should not say this kind of word, crystallize, etc. But I am using anyway, because what you say tangible is really not tangible. Is not there at all. But anyway, it's okay. Let me tell that way. It's a manifest ignorance only. Anyway, so well, that is how ajnanam tesha. When they probe, what they confront is this ignorance alone. And so ajnanam stares at them. So puratah bhati means it stares at them. Even if they have solved one ignorance, well, basically it will be replaced by something else. I mean, ignorance pertaining to one thing is replaced by something else, or at a deeper level also. That's how Vidyaranya says kasuchit kakshasu. Kaksha means a level. So basically, I mean one level or the other. Kasuchit. So this chit, the suffix you find that gives an indefinite sense. Chana also gives an indefinite sense. Kashchana, then kashchit, and kopi. This api, chana, chit. If you add as a suffix in any word, it gives a indefinite sense. To add indefinite sense only we do that. So kasuchit kakshasu. Well, at one or other level, like that, at some level, to say that some level. So we are not sure, but so this is how it is. So kasuchit kakshasu means at every level or at some level, well, they will always find a ignorance will be always there. So means they solve some issue, then go to the next level. There are a lot of other unanswered questions. So, and therefore the world will remain as a eternal mystery. You can never remove the mystery, because mystery is the very nature of the world. Please understand this. That's how we have answered yesterday. Mystery is the very intrinsic nature of the world, and therefore don't try to solve this problem. Then, well, what will do then? Don't try to solve this problem. Then what will do? Dissolve that. Yeah. If you cannot solve the problem of a given thing, dissolve that thing, and therefore you will have you will be free from that, right? And well, so dissolve. Hey, what will I dissolve? Dissolve the world, because you confront the world and you cannot solve, and therefore dissolve the world. And so how will I dissolve? What is a solvent to dissolve? And that solvent is Atmajnana, is a solvent in which you dissolve. So that is how Vidyaranya is referring regarding the nature of Maya. So let's go to verse number 144. Dehendriyadayo bhavaha viryen utpadita katham va tatra chaitanyam ityukte te kimuttaram. So in the previous verse, Vidyaranya said kasuchit kakshasu, well, this ajnanam puratah bhati, etc. So there is a mystery at all the levels, at the different levels. And Vidyaranya takes now a sample case for that. Biggest mystery is a mystery of life. So how does living beings originate? This is a question, right? And if you superficially see, inert objects and the sentient beings, well, basically both made up of matter. Scientifically also it is proved, and made up of matters. Black body is full of elements. The elements which you find in the creation, those elements you find in the body also, which is sentient right now. The creation which is inert, there are certain elements. Those elements you find here also. You find calcium and iron and these and that, all this, which are there in the nature, which is inert in the creation. And here also you find the same elements in the body, which is sentient. So sentient and inert things have the same elements. Then one is sentient and one is basically inert. It's a really a mystery. So external world is also same material and body also is the same material. And let's take a Shastra's view. This is from standpoint of a chemistry or some science. So from Shastra's standpoint also, this body also is made up of 5 elements, and this this creation also has these 5 elements. And so this, even scientists feel, well, basically that the behavior of matter in living organism, in inert objects has a vast difference. Even though here also you find all this calcium and iron and everything, in nature also you find, but here, even though the elements are same, still here elements behave in a different way compared to the elements present in inert matter. Could you follow? That is what even scientists are baffled about. So we don't know, but then they say this is a very big difference in complexity. In the organized way of, the matter here, behaves in a very organized way, and not only organized way means it can store information. It can store information. Living body has a capacity to store information, and the main thing is that DNA, which can store the information for, it has information which if you print, they say it goes into the books, encyclopedia books, number of books. Such a information is there in one DNA. So how this DNA? Well, basically again it is carbon, hydrogen and all these elements only. And then how they are all present in the nature, in the living being, in this creation also is there, which is inert, and they are there in this body also. Then how this information has been stored in a sentient being with the same chemicals, the same elements. And not only they store, they are able to pass it on to the next generation. That's a height of it. It's the biggest mystery even for the scientists now. So how ordinary chemicals get converted to biochemicals? Well, it's a great mystery. They are not able to explain. All physical and chemical laws, you take into account, but still you are not able to explain in sentient being how these chemicals behave as so in an organized way. So very complicated. No biologist, no chemist is able to explain. They say there is a difference in matter in a organism and matter outside. Vidyaranya say you can't explain life. That's what ultimate. That's the question, right? They are trying to solve the mystery of this life, but basically Vidyaranya say you can't explain the life. You can't explain death also. You can't explain life also. Means birth also. So biochemistry, if you see the death, now see right now certain chemicals are there, body behaves in a certain way. When the death occurs of this body, then those chemicals they don't behave like a biochemicals. They behave like an ordinary chemicals. So biochemistry becomes an ordinary chemistry, at the time of death. And while living, the same chemicals behave like a biochemicals. So to such an extent that you can't keep the body for more than few hours, So and the body, which is, when life is there, the same body remains without any decomposition, basically continued without decomposition. But when the death occurs, you can't keep the same body even for few hours. So basically for years together it continued without any decomposition. I don't know. So that is how this kind of a problem, this is a mystery, even scientists are not able to solve. Vidyaranya says, you talk of your knowledge, etc., that how life came in the universe, etc., but dehendriyadaya bhavaha, this basically deha, indriya, etc., all these organs or limbs, etc., including mind and prana, etc. Viryena utpaditaha katham. You may say that all things have come from basically from the one drop of a seed of a male, etc., or human being, but it is not. It is not able to explain, and he will explain how. Well, you say the life has come from the seed of the Purusha Bija. Well, that is not correct. He will explain that thing. So Dehendriyado Bhavaha, etc. In Prashnopanishad itself, when student ask a question, Katham Eshaha Prano Jayate, when generally you feel that the life is due to prana. Well, and then there was a question in that the Katham Eshaha Prana Katham Jayate. From where this prana is born? If you say life has come from prana, then prana is born from whom? And then this Pipala, the teacher says, well, Ati Prashnan Pruchati. You are asking something uncomfortable question. And therefore, even Yagnavalkya said in I think Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that Ati Prashnan Pruchati Murdhade Vyapatishyati. So basically you are asking some question which you should not ask for. If you still insist on that, and if you keep on asking that, murdha means your head will fall off. So basically, origin of life you can't know. That is how it says. And of course then, later it says Brahmishthosi. Well, basically Atmanaha Eshaha Prana Jayate. Well, Pipalada says from this Atma the prana is born. You say the life has come from the prana, but the very prana has come from the Atma. Very nice question. See, answer has been given. And at the end, Pipalada says, nothing is born of Atma. Atma cannot give any birth to anything. So could you follow? So ultimately, we may find that the life has come from the prana and prana has come from the Atma, etc. And therefore the problem is solved. It's not. Atma cannot give birth to anything. You and me know very well. And therefore, so Bhavaha means all these living beings. Dehendriyadaya Bhavaha. So all these limbs, etc. And Bhavaha means all other living beings. Katham Utpaditaha. How are they born? Answer seems to be very simple. All the living beings are born of the parents. Well, ultimately. And then, definitely parents means their bijam, etc. So here it says Viryena from the Purusha Bija, seed of the man. And that is how a life is born. And there are two ways. When you say from parents, how come first living being? Because ultimately they are also living beings. So their parents have come from their parents, and then they have come from their parents, etc. But then how come first living being has come? So Vedanta says it is anadi. There is no linear thing. Scientists won't accept this, that there is a linear. So there is some point from where this ultimately human being has come. But we say it is anadi, it's a cyclic process. Cyclic process is not accepted by the scientist. They said 12 million years ago, basically this happened, and from matter only life has come. They will explain that way. Vidyaranya did not raise that, of course, this kind of a question, but Vidyaranya says, this how come Purusha Bija basically can give such a life. Purusha Bija means just a drop or a one dot, basically. From that one dot, how this wonderful, very wonderful, this body has a complex body can come up. So, and the number of information in one gene basically is so much that I have told you it can print the encyclopedias basically. How come that dot of matter is able to do this job? How to give a life? That's the first question. And second question, Katham Utpaditaha Viryena, that's the first question. How all the living beings are born from that dot of the seed of the human being. And that's the first question. The second question is Katham va tatra chaitanyam dehendriya adishu Katham va tatra chaitanyam. How did life is there in all this or the consciousness come in that matter? Because ultimately this is matter. How did consciousness come or life come in that matter? So these two questions are there. Vidyaranya is asking. So basically if these chemicals, naturally all these chemicals are there, when they are combined in a certain fashion, if they can give rise to a life, then we can be able to produce a life in a laboratory. In fact, when the first time when I read about this test tube baby, so I got that a thought in my mind. Because test tube means in chemistry, we use for combining all chemicals and mixing all chemicals. That's it. For that, test tube is used. And so test tube means I thought certain chemicals are combined, and after some time, wow, 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 it has started. So I thought like that. It was a very foolish thing, but I thought like that. Then I learned that test tube baby requires both parents also. Test tube. Anyway, so so ultimately, even the parents also are men. Basically, they are nimitta only. So this is a mystery how the life has come. It's a, and so te uttaram kim. Tell me what is your answer regarding these two questions. That how that one dot of a human seed can give rise to this complex, complex life, organized life, and katham va tatra chaitanyam. And even if it gives rise to, is ultimately matter, right? Viryam is also a matter. It can give rise to body, such a body itself is a question, but anyway, they can explain further, no problem. But then katham va tatra chaitanyam. How come life is there? That's a matter. Matter has no life. Then how come life has been here in this body, which has been generated from this seed? So tell me, what is your answer? Vidyaranya is asking two questions, and then he is telling what is your answer to the Purvapakshi. 145. Viryasyaisha svabhavaschet katham tadviditam tvaya अन्वय व्यतिरेकौ यौ भग्नौ तौ वंध्य वीर्यतः. How does this Purusha Bija produce this full-fledged body? Well, when we ask to this Purvapakshi, he says, Esha Viryasya Svabhavah. This is the intrinsic nature of the Purusha Bija. Just as Agni has a Aushnam, fire has a heat, etc. Viryam has this that kind of a nature to generate the body and to generate the life ultimately. Utpadita Svabhava is there in the Viryam. Iti chet. So then we say, if you are saying if this is your answer, we are asking you a counter question now. So katham tvaya tad viditam. How did you know that the life has come from this Purusha Bija? Because perceptually it is just a bunch of chemicals only. They do a chemical analysis of the human seed also. And perception does not prove its capacity that it has a life and the body can come out of all this, and also a consciousness come out of this. It doesn't. It is. There are no sign of any kind of a life when you do analysis of this Purusha Bija. So he says it is simple. It is very simple actually, and you have only taught us what Anvaya Vyatireka. Anvaya Vyatireka abhyam viditam. So I know through logic, means I know through co-presence and co-absence. What is that? He says, when there is this semen, or whenever there is this Purusha Bija, Virya Sattve Sharira Sattvam Bhavati, and Virya Abhave Sharira Abhava Bhavati. And therefore, Viryam Sharirasya Karanam. When this Viryam is there, when the semen is there, and then the body will be, body is produced. And if Viryam is not there, then the body is not produced. And therefore, Viryam basically is this Purusha Bija is a cause of this body. And so from it, there only it has come. For that answer, Vidyaranya replies in second line, Yau Anvaya Vyatireko Tvaya Uktau. The Anvaya Vyatireka, co-presence, co-absence, etc., which you have told to us right now, Tau Bhagnau. That is negated by me, broken by me. There is a Banja Dhatu in seventh conjugation. And the Bhanakti, etc., they are the forms. And this word, Bhangaha, Bhangaha means a break, etc. So they say Mana Bhangaha, means, a insult, basically. So respect is destroyed, or respect is not given to a person. Then we say Mana Bhangaha. Then there is a Chapa Bhangaha. The bow is also destroyed or is broken. So, anyway, tau yau anvaya vyatireko tvaya uktau. You said anvaya vyatireka to us, co-presence and co-absence to us, that whenever there is a semen, the body is produced. If semen is not there, body is not produced. And therefore, body has come from this semen only. Therefore, that is the cause of it, which you said to us, I am going to find a fault with your this logic. How do we negate your Anvaya Vyatireka? So, by showing an exception. Anvaya Vyatireka is acceptable only if it is universal. That's how it is. So, co-presence and co-absence, well, you will accept basically when it is universal. At one place you apply co-presence, at other place you are not able to apply. Then you cannot, you can make it as a rule. So it should be universally true. For example, like tobacco is a cause of a cancer. Is it true? It's not true. Really. In 100% cases, 100% cases mean all the people who take tobacco will definitely get cancer without exception. Then we can say tobacco is a cause of cancer. But that doesn't happen. There are people who eat tobacco throughout the life and live a long life also. 85, 87 years, no cancer, and they go away. But Swamiji, that's not true, because there is a statutory warning in India. There's here also it may be there, I don't know. And that cigarette, that pocket, every statutory warning. Well, smoking is well injurious to the health, is a cause of cancer, etc. So basically, that's true that probability of a cancer is more. But you cannot say he is taking tobacco and therefore he will get cancer. There are champions in India. So who are always more, they spend more time at that pan galla shop, as a pan wala shop, than in the home. Then they all day, they keep in fact a bunch of this gutkas, and they take out one and put in mouth. Once that is exhausted, they put another one. All day that goes on and on. So cancer is a cause of, this tobacco is a cause of a cancer. We cannot say. Because there are exceptions. And therefore, so this is the biggest medical mystery ultimately. Cancer is a mystery. Anyway, so we should always say tobacco is a contributory cause, predisposing cause, we can say that way. But not tobacco is the cause of the cancer. In fact, what generally they say, if you eat tobacco, you will get a cancer of mouth and this throat and etc. Well, that's true. But then there are people who are not even once the tobacco, and still they get a cancer of this mouth etc. on throat etc. They get. So all exceptions are there. And so, well, definitely this Karya-Karana relationship is a most violated law. Karya-Karana Sambandha is a most violated law in the universe. How can you say that? Till today you were all the time saying Karya-Karana, and now you are saying like that, yeah, I am referring to Mandukya. There, Karyam is called Phalam and Karanam is called Hetu. So there, Gaudapadacharya has literally, shred into these pieces, this Hetu-Phala relationship, Karya-Karana relationship. Hetu-Phala theory, well, basically in any field of science, basically they are also not able to prove that way. And therefore, there is a probability. That's how this particular law is the most violated law. Karya-Karana Varada, well, never works that way. And so there are many. So now, what are you talking, Swamiji? I am coming to the point now. So he gave he told through logic that Viryam is a Karanam for the body. Right? Is a car for the body, because he applied that Anvaya Vyatireka. Virya Sattve, Sharira Sattvam. Virya Bhave, Sharira Bhava. Correct. And therefore, Viryam Eva Sharirasya Karanam. This is how it is. And we said that we did a pratigna there itself, that yau Anvaya Vyatireko tvaya uktau tau bhagnau. Whatever the Anvaya Vyatireka, whatever the logic you gave it, by to show the Viryam as a Karanam for the body, etc. Well, we are going to show that it is not so. And then show us. Yeah, he says, well, there are many Purushas, well, who have this Purusha Bija, but not capable of producing a child or body. And therefore, Vandyam. Vandyam is you can take here. I am talking Purusha Bija, but you can take even when the, Stri Bija also you can take that way. So, Vandya means here basically A masculine bija or feminine bija, well, it is there but not able to produce. So here Viryam means we take unproductive male seed. Vandya Viryam means unproductive male seed. So Virya Sattve Purushas Utpatti Sattva. Whenever the Viryam is there, well, definitely the body, I mean, it will generate body. That's not the case. So the certain males have that Purusha Bija but not able to produce the body. And therefore there is an exception. And therefore, well, Anvaya Vyatireka means it should be applied to 100% cases. If it is not applied, well, we cannot give that logic. And therefore, Viryam is not the karanam of this body. And the consciousness, the sentient body, etc. Okay, verse 146. Na janami kimapyetat ityante sharanam tava ataeva mahantosya pravadantindra etat kimapi na janami. I am not able to explain why this Vandya Virya has this sabhava. Other Viryam, I mean, has this sabhava. Well, basically, this water has a Ushna sabhava. That water has not Ushna sabhava. Then, well, I can say that Ushnata is not a sabhava of a water. Right? In one places you find water is hot. Other places you find water is not hot. Therefore, that heat, well, is not the nature of this, basically, the water. Same way here, if one Purusha Bija produces a human body, another Purusha Viryam, that does not produce this human body. And therefore, we can definitely say that it is not a Swabhava of the, you are saying that it is an intrinsic nature of the human beach, this Purusha Bijam or a human seed, it has the intrinsic nature of generating a body. It's not so. Because in one bijam you find it has a capacity, in other bijam you find it does not have a capacity. And therefore, well, it is not an intrinsic nature of any human seed to produce the body. Anyway, if it is a sabhava, means it is universal, right? If it is a sabhava, means it is universal, but you don't find it that way. Therefore, that is not its sabhava. And same way, so he says here, na janami, well, I don't know, iti sharanam tava, this is the only refuge. So, and that is how ultimately we say, basically this life is a mystery on this earth, basically. Ultimately, Vedanta will say it is all Maya. Why this life is there in this human being. There is a sentiency in one place and inertness in another place. Well, whatever you like, you can probe into more. You can probe more and more into that. But ultimately, it's a mystery. Mandukya Karika, the mantra number 7, it very beautifully said, Acharya says that Aryanam Sruštau Tatparyam Nasti. Aryanam Sruštau. Aryanam means this intelligent people, all this discriminative people never waste time too much in this cause of creation called Maya. Here, cause of creation don't refer to that Mundaka Upanishad yesterday which I referred. Well, that's a different thing. Here I am telling this Maya, which is the cause of the creation. From there only creation has come. From Ajnanam creation has come, right? The snake is generated from ignorance of the rope only. Same way, from Maya only everything has come. That's the cause. And therefore don't waste too much of time. It is Maya. It cannot be defined. And therefore how the life has come and etc. How there are sentient beings, even though they have same chemicals, and the chemicals which are there outside in the creation, same chemicals are there, but those chemicals behave in an organized way. They work as a memory factory, kind of, chips, memory chips. Well, how? We don't know. And the same body, when life is not there, it's a dead body, well, then sentience is not there. Then the same body works now, and the chemicals inside, they work as all ordinary chemicals. And therefore, this is all mystery. It's all Maya. So, be satisfied with this temporary answer called Maya. And that's how in that Mandukya itself, it is na kaschit jayate jivaha sambhavo asya na vidyate etad uttamam satyam yatra kinchin na jayate. It is in Vaititya Prakranam, 48th Karika. Na kaschit jayate jivaha na sambhavo asya na vidyate. Well, there is no jiva is born. There is no cause for the creation of jiva. Etad uttamam satyam. Well, this is the ultimate truth. Uttamam satyam. This is the ultimate truth that nothing is born in all the three periods of time. Trikalepi Srishti Nasti. All that is there is Brahman. Don't think it is void. All that is there is Brahman. Well, this is the final answer. Other than that, if you probe more and more into the creation or Maya, ultimately it remains unsolved. And therefore, this is our final answer. Anyway, we'll see more tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.